Hello, welcome. I've noticed here recently that a lot of people have had some trouble doing their servers because of a lot of people cheating. So that is the topic of today's video, how to improve your server to assist you with people who are cheating. And the best way that I've found to do that is first off, a lot of commands, and then also actually using the same cheats they're using, because those cheats actually help you see others who are cheating, because using them, you can actually do a lot of different things that are not normally possible, such as ESP, which is extremely useful if you want to see someone cheating or someone where they're not supposed to be, especially if they're like shifting or if they're just hiding extra far away. ESP can help in that situation so much. So I'm giving you guys some examples of how you can use ESP, and not just ESP, but Horion specifically, to your advantage, as well as Cheat Engine. Cheat Engine is the first one we'll be talking about, and that is one of the most useful ones, especially since Cheat Engine lets you customize your game, basically. One thing that is so useful about it is, let me actually tell you an example from speedrunning. There's a lot of speedrunners that actually use Cheat Engine to test to see, well, not speedrunners, but I guess they're speedrunners, but they're the specific kind of speedrunners that specifically go out of their way to test glitches to see how they work so they can improve their runs. That is one reason why they use Cheat Engine, because then they can actually test and see what the hitbox of the player is doing, what the actual player is doing, and if they're going up and down and certain things along those lines. So using Cheat Engine, they can actually test and see what is going on with, the player and the different parts of the player, specifically like the hitbox. In fact, there is actually a glitch that whenever you do a flip in a specific game, I think it was Zelda, it moves your hitbox backwards and then it clips you through the wall. And that is something that you would not generally know unless you used Cheat Engine to figure out how to do it. And well, not figure out how to do it, but you discover it and then you go to understand it in order to help you figure it out, so you can use it in more than one situation. Very, very useful, and I would recommend other people to use Cheat Engine, especially if you're doing some modding, because whenever you're modding, you can definitely use it for a variety of different purposes. If you can figure out how to download it as is, that's one reason why I do not have it, is because I cannot find the right download link. So that is a little bit unfortunate. So I wouldn't recommend downloading Cheat Engine, but it is definitely a tool that a lot of people use for a lot of different purposes. And then obviously, well, the one I'm going to be talking about is Horion, because I'm lazy and I don't want to make my own, figure out how to use, Cheat Engine and how to download it, because it's a pain to download. But either way, Horion, there's a lot of different things that you can use in Horion. Like I said, ESP to spy on players, and as well as X-ray to see if people are X-raying, infinite reach for building structures, as well as a tower and scaffold for building structures, because tower and scaffold are much faster than just building it normally. Especially with infinite reach, it can be extremely useful to use that. Obviously, full bright as well is just extremely nice and handy to have, especially if you're in a creative world and you don't want to have to turn up your brightness all the way and use a night vision potion. You can just turn on full bright to make it as if you have your own night vision potion. And then obviously, using chest ESP, you can see duplication machines from across the world. Well, may not exactly duplication machines, but you can definitely see the machines. And especially if you have an ESP texture pack like I do, you can even see the pistons, and using that can be extremely useful to see if people are duplicating or if they're not duplicating. Very, very useful for that kind of thing as well. Next is, if you lose your base in creative mode, you can actually find it again in creative mode or in survival mode, but that's more along the lines of cheating. But if you're building a base in creative mode and you fly away or get teleported away, it can be useful to use things like Horion to be able to fly around and see where chests are or see where different things are, as well as X-ray to see where certain parts of the map are. There's a lot of different things you can use with Horion to go find your base again if you lost it in creative mode, or you were teleported away and you can no longer find it and you forgot to set your spawn there, especially if it's really, really far away. And also, just being able to fly around faster helps in that situation by itself. And one of my favorite examples is actually preventing griefing. One thing is, let's say if you're in one of your friends' worlds and they are AFK, and someone who has operator, it joins and starts griefing the world after removing your operator. Because operators can, I believe, not entirely sure, but I believe can remove other players' operator. Or even if they can't, they can still get a lot of things griefed beforehand. And rather than waiting for the owner to get back online and the entire world being griefed and there's no other save of it, what you could do is just crash the game. Whenever you crash the game, it rolls back to the last autosave. Not just save, but the last autosave. meaning it will remove some of the damage, maybe not all, but some of the damage, and then kick everyone out of the game because, obviously the game crashed. That can be extremely useful for that purpose, especially if you're an admin of a server or if you're the admin of a world that you're trying to build and someone starts griefing. That can be extremely useful. There's also, you use it for stackable items. That can also be very useful, especially if you're trying to, put something inside of a chest, like a bunch of swords or whatever you're doing. Especially, stackable items can be pretty nifty. Something that's very nice to have. Then also, if you're just building a big map or if you're just exploring a map, it can be very useful to be able to fly around using it. Or here's a better example. This happens to me quite a bit. I join one of my friends' worlds, and they obviously have a box for you to stay in while you're there because, they don't want you checking out the map just yet because they're not done with it. And pretty much all the rest of it's a wireframe, that kind of deal. So they don't want you checking out too much of the map, so they just leave you in that box. Or maybe you're in survival mode and they're building it in creative and they're AFK because, they would give me creative mode to fly around and check out the map, but they're AFK, so they can't really do that at the moment. So then if it's in that kind of situation and I just want to check out the map really quickly, then I can obviously just go and put myself into creative mode and fly around. Obviously, I'm still technically in survival mode, but I can be in creative mode. Or, for example, I can do something where I'm just flying around using the jetpack, or I'm using, air swim and stuff like that, and I can fly around and blink, and I can free cam around, check out the map, and be done, and leave, and be fine with it. And next time I join back, then they'll give me creative mode so I can fly around and see what's going on. But that is another great example for that kind of deal. And also just for your own maps as well, like the map that I'm having on the screen right now. That map right there is the futuristic map I built a while ago. That I actually made a command block version of Jetpack for that purpose, and that was before Horion was in development and before you could actually do that kind of stuff using things like Cheat Engine. I didn't know how to do it, but I actually made my own command block version of it because I used to have that kind of thing on Java, and it was very useful to be able to fly around really quickly. So I made my own version of it. Well, now that Horion is out, then I can actually just fly around using Jetpack so much easier than with the command block, and I can do it on my friends' worlds as well. It's just very useful to be able to do that. I can phase through the wall and just fly around the map and get from one side of the map to the other while I'm collaborating with another builder. It's very easy and simple. I don't need to set up any commands. It's already right there, one click away or 2 clicks away, depending on if I'm using phase or not. And it can be extremely, extremely useful to be able to use something along those lines, especially whenever you're building something very large. A couple other things is theoretical speed runs, because the timer can slow down the tick speed in your game. That can be very useful if you're doing theoretical speed runs, or if you want to double check to see if some parkour is possible, because it's slowing down your tick speed so that you can actually see exactly what you need to be able to get across, if it's frame perfect or not. That kind of deal can be very, very useful if you're doing a parkour map. And then also finding things for speed runs, like if you're on a speed run to the end or another, you're doing a set seed speed run, then you can definitely see if there's any chests below you or near you, or lava, to see if you can easily get some lava to make your nether portal as quickly as possible. Obviously, wireframing using tower and scaffold is also very useful, and removing trees using nuker is amazing. Using that is awesome for removing trees, and I definitely recommend it if you're doing a very large map. Then also in using the enchant, being able to enchant your items with overpowered enchants can also be extremely useful. Pretty much this is all the things I can think of at the moment, and I'm sure I didn't mention everything. Like I didn't mention inventory cleaner, and also didn't go very into detail with X-ray and chest DSP. But yeah, these things can be extremely useful even for redstone and things along those lines. So I'd recommend you guys to try it out, especially if you're on Windows 10. If you're an admin or a moderator of a server, then I would definitely recommend doing that, because it's going to help you prevent people from griefing. And I hope you enjoyed this video. And also, if you want me to do some more command block videos in the future, definitely comment down below what kind of command block video you want me to make, and I will see if I can make that my next video. If not, then I will still work on the video I'm already working on, which is a command block video. So I really hope you will enjoy that one. So anyway, hope you have a great, wonderful, sublime day, and God bless.